All right, a lot of good stuff. Vince, are you ready for some rapid fire?
Oh, I've been waiting all day for rapid fire. I've been on the air since 1 o'clock. I'm ready for rapid fire. Let's go.
No rapid fire. Here we go. Fill in the blank. Notre Dame signing former Penn State star running back, former Penn State running back Devyn Ford out of the transfer portal is blank.
Great insurance for the 2023 season. I think this signing is a high ceiling, high floor decision. They're playing with house money. They had some extra scholarships available. There's obviously some question marks about injury, about true freshmen, all these different things in the running back room, right? Well, I think that this is a nice insurance policy in case something happens to Audric Estime. You got a great number 2 guy right there, ready to go. This is great. You don't have to move Chris Tyree over. That they're one injury away from moving Chris Tyree back to running back, right? He can just stay over there at the slot, get better. Perfect. It's just an insurance policy, and I think that's totally fine. I think they had the scholarships to give.
I think it's best case scenario for the kind of running back that you would hope to be able to get out of the transfer portal. I mean, it's not like you're getting chump change out of there. The guy was an elite running back in the 2019 class. He was the number 1 running back in that class, 40th rated player in the nation. He's had some injuries in his time at Penn State that have kind of held him back a little bit. But if you're Notre Dame now, just what you said, you don't even have to worry most likely about moving Chris Tyree back in there. You can just let him do his thing as a receiver, and maybe even, maybe you take that slash off his title, because during the spring they listed him running back / receiver, whichever order that was in. But you've got 5 running backs now. You're back to 5 with Ford coming in, and he's a quality running back. So you expect that he's going to be able to challenge for some time right away. And he's also got 2 years of eligibility left. This is actually a little bit of the, kind of the guy that you were just talking about, who, they've had some trouble getting in here, but
right.
Apparently he's got his academics in line because they were able to get him in here. And so again, I think it's best case. You've got a guy who will make your running back room better and more competitive. Like you look at an insurance policy for Jadarian Price, even, not knowing what's going to happen with him with his Achilles. So I think it's great that they were able to go out and get a guy of this caliber that they can plug in the room. Like if Audric Estime has the kind of year that we all think he's going to have, he's going to be gone after this year.
Absolutely.
So you needed another back of this caliber.
Well, and it sounds like he's very similar in style to like Chris Tyree. So you do kind of have that thunder and lightning, as Irish Chi-Town put up here. So he's kind of a slasher, right? So you got differing styles, which is good. And so if he can stay injury-free and everybody stays injury-free, it's a win-win. I mean, it's a win-win. There's no downside to taking him. You had 2 extra scholarships, I believe. Why not use it to bolster your running back room?
Yeah, absolutely. Which is the bigger surprise? Notre Dame lacrosse winning the national championship, or Notre Dame baseball missing the NCAA tournament?
Well, I will plead ignorance on the chances of the lacrosse team doing anything. I know that they were good. I remember, what was it, during spring ball? They had like a big game and the whole football team was out there on the berm watching them. Remember that? I think they were like the number 2 or number 1 team in the country. So I knew they were good, right? I've known for about a week and a half now that Notre Dame wasn't going to make the NCAA tournament for baseball. Maybe even longer than that. But I think the reality hit last week when they totally bombed in the ACC tournament, but then Boston College, and you just work your way back, right? They did not finish strong, as they say, right? So pretty much was on board with Notre Dame not making the NCAA tournament. So I will say I was more surprised that the lacrosse team won the national championship, because I knew that the baseball team wasn't going to get in.
I was more as well, and it kind of came around, like a little bit of a lightning rod. It's like, oh, they're in the Final Four. That's cool. And then they, narrowly, they kind of had to they knocked off Virginia to get to the national championship game, and then they end up beating Duke, which was a number 1 seed, to win the whole thing. And I was unfortunately not surprised the way Notre Dame baseball season wound up, that they got left out. And they ended up, I think their RPI was 54 or 55, and Kansas State was right next to them. One was 54, one was 55. And the Kansas State head coach today, he tweeted out a long quote. Basically, there's some controversy, in terms of the selection committee leaning too much into the RPI, and Kansas State was left out right along with Notre Dame. And it just, the way their season, the way that the last week and a half of their season transpired, there was just no way. It was a very pleasant surprise, though, to see Notre Dame lacrosse being able to do this. And I mean, Kevin Corrigan, this is a guy who's been around forever. Of course, he's the son of Gene Corrigan, the former Notre Dame athletic director and ACC commissioner. Yeah. And the guy's been here for 35 years. I mean, think about that. 1988 was when he was hired as head coach at Notre Dame, and it's like national championships. That was Notre Dame football's last national championship season. But it's like, he's a South Bend St. Joe guy, and he's been here forever. You talk about longevity. And so it's pretty cool to see him do it. And it was again, like the way that game transpired yesterday, that was even more surprising to see them jump out to the lead that they did.
And then they gave up so many goals in a row in the third quarter. Oh, I was like, well, that was short-lived.
That's right. Here comes Duke firing on all cylinders, and all of a sudden it's tied up. And then here comes Notre Dame again, swinging the old momentum back the other way. On the subject of momentum, Vince, do you buy or sell the notion of momentum in sports? And I'm not necessarily talking about momentum within a game. There are always going to be swings within a game. Absolutely. I'm talking more about like longer term momentum, game to game, over the course of the season or the postseason or whatever it happens to be.
I had to think about this one, to be honest. And I know this is probably stems from the Eastern Conference Finals in the NBA and the whole.
Good call.
Yep. 3 games and then 3 games and then game 7 and all of that. Honestly, there is something to be said for, maybe I'm splitting hairs here. When I was coaching football at the high school level, right? And we were playing a team who was undefeated. Now, they played a bunch of garbage teams, right? But they were undefeated. My team was not undefeated. We played some really tough teams. We competed, but we had a bunch of losses.
Right.
You pit those two teams together. Who's more confident going into that game?
The team that's undefeated. Right.
Period. Right. So I think it can give you confidence. I don't know about momentum. I feel like once the game starts, you're kind of there and you're kind of you're playing within the game. I don't think it gives you momentum from one game to the next, but it can certainly give you confidence to play better going into the game. No doubt about that. So I don't know if I'm splitting hairs there, but that's how I feel.
I think that actually is the greater point. It is more, especially with a team sport, like 1 or 2 players can be playing well and have confidence, but that doesn't mean the whole team is going to have the same confidence. Like each guy is going through something different with his own playing situation, and like, analytics will tell you that there's no such thing as clutch. Like Miami won 3 straight games. They were on the verge of sweeping the series. And just like you said, they've got all this perceived momentum. Did they finish it off? No, because Boston proceeds to win 3 straight games of their own, and everyone thought that they were going to complete it. It's like, like everyone seemed to be picking Boston last night. Why? Because they've got the momentum now on their side, right? Well, and like, what happens if they don't get that putback from Derek White, with 1/10 of a second left in game 6? Like, that ends all your momentum talk right there. So I agree. Like, there is something to be said about confidence, but actual momentum, just it seems to me to be more about randomness. It's there's just a certain random nature to it. So, and again, because in team sports, you've got so many different players who are a part of it. Again, there are going to be pendulum swings within the game. There's different momentum shifts within a game, but longer term, I just think that it's more random necessarily than it. I like sort of the way you define it. There is something to the confidence that can be gained from it, but not everyone feels that, I think, even in the same way.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely momentum within a game, especially a game like basketball or, something like that. Like the momentum shift in basketball, you can feel that, like when we're calling games, like you can feel the momentum swing.
Right.
Football's a little bit different because you've got offense and defense, and it's a little bit, different. Like momentum in basketball is huge.
Yeah, I mean, basketball is so different just because of the
Right.
more frenetic nature of the game, and there's just so much. Like basketball and lacrosse are actually, I was thinking about it, like in terms of the high volume of scoring, they're similar in that way. Now you still don't score, quite as much in lacrosse as you do in basketball, but still, it's like getting.
It's definitely in lacrosse. There's momentum. Like I could even tell that just by watching the game yesterday for sure.
I think a lot of people found out about lacrosse this weekend.
That's fair.
All right, we're continuing on our run of predicting records for the upcoming college football season. So Florida State has a Vegas over-under of 9.5 wins. So let's predict their record. Here's their schedule. Right. They start off with LSU. Then they play Southern Miss. They're at Boston College. They're at Clemson. They've got Virginia Tech, Syracuse, Duke, at Wake Forest, at Pittsburgh, Miami, North Alabama, at Florida to close out the regular season. So over under 9.5 wins for Florida State this season.
Wow. So do we want to go through each team, or am I just going by, like, I quickly went through it and I think I have 9-3.
Okay.
So I guess I would have to take the under. And I'm not 100% confident on some of the wins. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they could go either way. So I guess I would take the under.
Like, when you look at LSU and at Clemson in your first 4 games of the season,
those are 2 L's for me for sure.
Yeah, I mean, even as good as Florida State was last year, Clemson has won 7 straight against the Seminoles. That includes last year. And, they're at Clemson this time.
Confidence going into that game. Okay.
That's right. That's right. What kind of momentum you got? Yeah, I agree. Like, LSU, Clemson, I think those are both losses right there.
Mm-hmm. I had Florida as my other loss to put them under that 9.5. But I think Duke could go either way, to be honest with you. Maybe that's the only other one. I don't think Pitt's going to be very good, but you never know with Pitt, right? And it's at Pitt, so I guess there's a chance there.
Get the Phil Dracovic factor.
Right? And the Phil Dracovic, like, he's got so many injuries that I just am not confident he'll make it through an entire season. If he does, then I would give Pitt the edge in that game, I think. But I have to learn more about Pitt, I think.
Yeah, now here's something interesting as well. The Seminoles, Vegas has them as the favorite to win the ACC championship.
Wow.
Right now. Like if you go to FanDuel, they're plus 165. They've got the best odds in the ACC to win ACC championship. Clemson has the second best odds, followed by North Carolina, Louisville, North Carolina State, Miami, Pittsburgh, and Duke. So it's interesting that Notre Dame plays 5 of the top 8 ACC teams that are favored
the ACC
to win the championship.
Sean, you know this. Just listen to the fans.
Yes, I know.
They don't help.
I do think that Florida State loses to both LSU and Clemson, and then between Duke, who I'm not as high on this year.
They're lucky they're not playing North Carolina.
Yeah, I know. And then Miami and Florida, I think they lose one of those 3 games.
That's fair.
So I've got them 9-3.
Yeah, I think that I would give better odds to win the ACC championship to Clemson and North Carolina before I would Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
I really would.
Now, remember, ACC is not doing divisions this year. It's just the top two teams.
Oh, they're really lucky they're not playing North Carolina then.
Yep.
So, yeah, I would still give better odds to those two teams over Florida State this year, going in anyway. I mean, I know they're kind of the sexy pick right now, and I don't know that I see it yet.
Me too. We talked about, I think it was last week, I think Jesse and I, we talked about who some of the most overhyped teams in college football are right now, and Florida State is mine. I'm not buying all in. The last time they had back-to-back 10-win seasons was in 2015 and 2016. Just because you have one good year doesn't mean all of a sudden. Now the schedule is fairly conducive to getting to at least 8 or 9, but again, 10 is the question because the over-under is 9.5. Are you getting to 10 again? And I just don't see it.
That's a lot. That's just a lot of wins, and they're going to have a lot go their way for that to be the case.
Right.
A lot.
Yeah, Indy cheat sheet says that they're one of the betting favorites to win the Natty, and
that's craziness.
I would sell that all the way.
Yeah,
I mean, we're going to find out right away. We're going to find out in that first month of the season because they're playing LSU and Clemson. So we're going to know right away.
We're going to find out a lot about LSU too, for that matter.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We are. Fill in the blank. It's blank that Will Ferrell is set to play John Madden in a movie about John Madden.
So
called Madden, actually.
Well, a good choice.
Tentatively. Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see how they play this, right? Are they going to play it? They're not going to play it like a Talladega Nights or a Step Brothers or something ridiculous like that, right?
Right.
But there is some comedic part of John Madden,
and the doinks and the dinks and the
boom, he's going over here. I can see, but I can also see Will Ferrell playing a lot of it straight too. You know what I mean? But he would be good at the John Madden impression in the booth. Handing out the 8-legged turkey legs and all these different things. You know what I mean? I think I'm on board with this. The more and more I think about it, the more and more I think I'm on board with it.
He was originally supposed to play Jerry Buss, the former owner of the Lakers, in that HBO series, the Lakers Winning Time series. But John C. Reilly got it instead, and it actually ticked him off. And
really?
his friend, Will Ferrell's friend Adam McKay is the guy, in charge, who was making the whole thing. And Adam McKay is the guy who directed Anchorman and all that kind of stuff. And I guess it kind of ticked him off,
Wow.
So I think that this is kind of an interesting little step, and when you look, I saw some pictures of Madden and Ferrell side by side. And it's not that they look, like identical twins or anything, but Ferrell, like all of us, he's got a little bit more gray hair these days and stuff so he's already,
he's got to put on a lot of weight to be John Madden.
Yeah. I can see this. I think this is actually going to be fun. I'm going to be curious to see sort of what the tone of this movie is, how serious it is. Again, it's not the same guy that made Winning Time. And I don't think they're going to go down the line of, a satire kind of thing, like Talladega Nights or whatever.
Right.
But at the same time, you would think that if you're getting Will Ferrell and the subject is John Madden, who, like you said, had his own little idiosyncrasies and stuff like that, well known for the kind of stuff that he did in the booth. I think that Will Ferrell will pull this off. I think it could be a lot of fun, depending on the tone that they go with this thing.
Right.
He's got his Harry Carey impersonation too for that. That's right. There's a little bit of a line.
They're gonna have to be careful with it, I think. But I can't remember. He can play a serious role. That is in his wheelhouse, number one. But I think this allows for a serious role, but with some fun as well. Because I'm sure John Madden was, I don't know this for a fact, but I feel like John Madden is not the John Madden we saw in the broadcast booth, outside the broadcast booth. You know what I mean? He was clearly a good businessman.
Yeah.
As far as getting involved with the video game and wanting to make sure that it was as lifelike as possible. I mean, we've all heard that story before, right? And, he gave plays and the playbook and all of those different things. So, I mean, he's a smart guy. I don't feel like he's just a clown all the time, right? So
Right.
There's going to be a line, and hopefully they do it right.
Yeah. I guess it's going to focus at least a good deal of it on his relationship with Al Davis, who, of course, was the Raiders owner. So
interesting.
That'll be like who they get to play. Al Davis I'll be kind of curious to see that as well. So Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Kenny Pickett had his playbook stolen out of his car. My question to you, what is the most valuable thing ever stolen out of your car?
I like how you assume I've had things stolen out of my car before.
We all have, right? I mean, come on.
I have because I left my car unlocked when I used to live in an apartment, and that was not smart. And it's not. So the most valuable thing that was ever stolen from me out of my car was back in 2000 and early 2005. Okay. My entire collection of CDs. Like I had the case, the zippered case, and it was in my car because I had the CD player in the car, and that's when I would listen to music. The whole thing was just taken.
So that's when you stopped listening to music, when your CDs were stolen.
Pretty much. I've been in a depression ever since.
They took Celine Dion, and it was downhill from there.
I had some stuff in there that, some burnt CDs of like great artists, in an order that I liked, and, all of that stuff that was given to me to listen, like all of that gone.
Did your wife make you mixtapes? Is that what you're saying?
She may have. She may have. It's a little heartbreaking because that was our first year of marriage. Everything was stolen.
Oh, that breaks my heart to hear that.
Vince. Yeah.
You guys,
I never replaced any of it.
You guys did okay 10 kids later. So
I'll see. We're at like 20 years, right? You got to go back to the mixtape. You got to go back to it sometimes to light the fire again. I don't have it.
That's true.
Some other guy's using it.
Vince could not tell you a Def Leppard song. I'm sorry, We Are Not Marshall. He could not.
Nope.
Rock and roll is not his thing. Have we ever talked about the 5150 reference on this show that I dropped on you?
I don't think we have.
Vince and I were doing a basketball game, and the score was 51-50, and I said, very Van Halen score. And Vince, it went right over Vince's head. He had no idea what I was talking about.
And I still get crap from Chuck Freebie to this day.
You deserve it, too.
Still, to this day.
Most valuable thing I've ever had stolen out of my, not car, but it was back when I had the Jeep Wrangler, the soft top. I would periodically, I had the removable face, CD, so you can pull it out and take it into your house. Every once in a while, I would just be stupid and jump out and forget to, pull the face out, pull the thing out, take it in the house. I probably had at least 3 stereos stolen. So,
yep. Yeah. It wasn't, it wouldn't be hard because there's, no roof.
No, that's exactly. And you just jump right in, and yep, that's right. I'm just glad nobody ever sliced up the soft top and cut it up or anything like that.
Good call. Good call.
We Are Not Marshall says Vince is a Hanson guy. Bop.
Bop. Bop. Bop. Bop.
All right. Well, we'll end it on that.
Oh, by the way, according to DraftKings, Florida State has the 7th best odds to win the national championship.
Really?
And Notre Dame is at 11.
Interesting.
So Florida State's at plus 1,800. Notre Dame's at plus 2,500. Georgia is at plus 210.
Understandably.
Yeah.
So who's it go?
Absolutely.
Georgia. Is Alabama second?
Yep. Alabama's at plus 550. Then you got Ohio State 650.
Michigan.
Yep, plus 900.
Who would be next?
They're on Notre Dame's schedule.
Clemson.
Nope. USC.
Oh, USC.
Okay. USC is at plus 14, and then the Fighting Brian Kellys are at plus 1,600.
Okay.
Then you got Florida State, then Clemson, then Texas, then Penn State, then Notre Dame.
See, Florida State has better odds than Clemson. Like,
Craziness. Crazy. Who knew?
All right.
Yep, that's where we're at. So, yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us tonight. National championship odds and all. We appreciate it. Smash the like button on your way out. And of course, subscribe, rate, and review. We will be back tomorrow. It's already Wednesday Eve. We're almost to the middle of the week. So we will talk to you then on IB Nation Sports Talk.